Speaking of doing television or radio, this show probably would have got over better on radio at this point. WrestleMania has finally been not canceled or postponed or whatever, but is now going to emanate from the Performance Center as we speak. Now, this changes day by day, right? But I've got it as we're sitting here, right now. They're going to do it over 2 nights from the Performance Center with no people or no fans in the building.
Well, again, it changes a lot because I've also heard that they may tape it in advance, and I've also heard that it may be from more than one location. I don't know what other location it would be from, but we don't exactly know what this WrestleMania would be. You said it. You predicted that.
People say I'm stubborn. How about Vince?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
What did you say I predicted?
Well, you predicted that Vince was not going to give up on WrestleMania. There could be a zombie apocalypse, and he was going to have WrestleMania, and that's exactly what's happened. What do you think of the actual decision? Beyond what Vince decided to do, what do you think about the decision to do, potentially, 2 nights, empty arena, WrestleMania, blowing off a lot of these big programs? Drew McIntyre, a lot of people thought this was going to be his big moment to beat Brock Lesnar. Now it'll be in front of no fans if it happens. What do you think about the idea and the decision to do WrestleMania this way?
Just for the network. And any pay-per-view, anybody that's still stupid enough to pay $50 on pay-per-view when it's on the network, right? That's all the people that would see it. And we go through all that. SmackDown showed they can't do it. The only ones that got it right were All Elite because they had fun with the situation and put on a wrestling show rather than having a show that made fun of wrestling because of the situation. I mean, that was the difference in what I saw of SmackDown and All Elite Wrestling. SmackDown in the empty arena was a show. This should be in the review, but we'll talk about it now. There were tech people that had to be there just to broadcast something, and they hid them, and they wouldn't let anybody make any noise, right? Did you see that? A couple of camera shots on SmackDown, you saw people ducking out underneath the barrier around the ring, tech people, just so they wouldn't be seen, and it was so quiet, it was a fucking tomb. And that showed that I guess they only did it briefly on Raw and may not do it again. I don't know, but SmackDown, and we'll talk more about it in the review, but that's what I thought. SmackDown was because of the situation, a show that just kind of made fun of wrestling. And All Elite was a show that took the situation and had some fun by doing what wrestling would do in that situation. And I can't imagine Brock Lesnar getting beaten in an empty arena in front of no people. I can't imagine a lot of WrestleMania is the entrances and the fireworks, and that's why it's 7 hours long. It takes them 10 minutes to get to the fucking ring. To me, it would have been so understandable for them to make an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, this year, so that you have plenty of time. SummerSlam is now WrestleMania. And we're going to honor your tickets, and we're going to have some plan to fix it for the people that were going to come in from other countries. You know, airlines, Stacy just got a plane ticket refunded. Airlines are working with people. For the people who are going to come in from other countries, we're going to give you a special package. If you can prove you had a ticket, whatever, help the international folks, make tickets good. Do SummerSlam the next day after WrestleMania if you have to have a fucking SummerSlam by that point. But the point is, get people in a stadium for a show of that magnitude. Make the WWE baby faces, because they're going to work with these fans in every way possible to make sure they get their WrestleMania experience. You don't have to wait a year till the next WrestleMania and start from scratch. You've already got WrestleMania tickets. We're going to give you one this year, and we're going to help you get there, or help you out once you do get there. And we're going to do this on the network and that on the network. And we're going to have, for the next 6 months, we're going to have WrestleMania fucking specials like crazy, where you can see how great this is from the past 35 fucking years, and just make it a WrestleMania promotional season. but do so because all those people are disappointed. It won't make any stars if anybody wins matches in empty buildings under those situations. Now, if they're talking about multiple locations, that still doesn't mean they can let fans in. That just means they can get around the limit of however many people are. If, in other words, if they're only doing 2 matches from this location, they've got less people there, right? But they still can't have any fans in, and they'd look stupid if they did. Everybody else has had to go on pause. Why couldn't they just pause that and make the fans happy and give the guys their WrestleMania moments in front of people? Even if they have to rebook the card a little bit, you can milk Brock Lesnar and Drew Galloway or Drew McIntyre. Galloway? Did he used to be Galloway?
He was Galloway on the
All
Indies,
right.
yeah.
I see. That's another goddamn thing with these fucking names. But you can milk that till this summer. Brock only works 1 day a month, if that anyway. So what the fuck, right? Change some of the other matches. Give them a few things, but build another WrestleMania quality card. Edge could be milked. Some of those main events could still be milked in some fashion, especially when they're not going to be able to produce new television in an acceptable form for however long right now, and give everybody their moment instead of just rushing it up because you just don't. I mean, my God, under those circumstances, are they going to do 1 million new subscribers to the network? That would be the only reason besides stubbornness to have WrestleMania only on the network is to try to add 1 million subscribers. But
it's stubbornness.
Because I don't know how you can do justice to something like WrestleMania. I mean, if any promotion I've ever run, if you said, Cornette, you've got to do Smoky Mountain Wrestling television, but you can't have any fans in, there's a fucking blizzard. We've got to do a TV show, but we can't have any fans. You can get around that. Get around that on TV, as you've seen, in various degrees of success. And taking some of my advice, you can do it better than others. But I would have not run Night of the Legends in an empty building. I didn't run Christmas Chaos in an empty building. You postpone it or you bring it back in as much of the form as you've promised it as you can when it's okay and safe for everybody not to have a fucking wreck in an ice storm or get a fucking, horrible illness and a pandemic whenever they can come out to see it. Nobody was going to, at that point, can you think of anybody that would have blamed the WWE if they'd announced we're postponing WrestleMania till August because of this crisis, like every other fucking thing else in the world? No.
And they look stupid for forcing it right now, because that's what it feels like. It feels like they're forcing WrestleMania.
But here's now the thing, and I tweeted about this. Everybody knows I hate the fucking asshole that runs High Spots because he's screwed me on a couple of things. But they tweeted that the Tampa Marriott was actually saying, well, we're still ready to go through with our part of the bargain, and wanted like $114,000 from them. And everybody was tweeting about it. Jericho really fucking hopped on them. And, it was getting a lot of attention on Twitter. And suddenly within a day or two, I think it was put out that they've made up there. But still, even though I don't like the guy at WrestleCon, but all the indies, and whether it be the fucking Outlaw Mud shows or Ring of Honor, everybody was involved in this weekend because it's become the thing to do. And none of these people besides Vince can afford to fucking take hits like Sinclair can, even though Ring of Honor technically can't. Sinclair can, and everybody else is in various stages of titty fucked. So, it's a shame, but at the same point, you couldn't have a safer bet if you were a wrestling promoter of any stature than to run, as we've seen over the last several years, on WrestleMania weekend. And now extending out into the week, because if there's 80 or 100,000 fans in the city that want to see and most of them from outside town that don't get to see any of this stuff live. That's why even the Outlaw Mud shows do their biggest crowd of the year. because just the sheer numbers and people involved. And, that's hard to replicate. And those people are really going to be, fucking drubbed over it. But it wasn't like they were. That's the thing. As a promoter, I would be miserable because I've taken a few flings to see what would happen before, and it didn't work out, right? Never to the length of this. I think the most I ever lost on a fucking Smoky Mountain Wrestling event was like $60-something $100 in one night. The economics have totally changed now, but this was a safe bet. It's like you almost couldn't lose to book all these fucking shows and these buildings and everything and all these guys. Because if you knew one show of the year was going to draw, it would be this one. And this is the one that's got everybody, going broke over. Vince will be okay. I wish for some of these people should go out of business. Let's play whoever booked the Invisible Man, whatever promotion that was. I hope they go out of business. But, I don't know how, unless it's a massive wrestling community project. What do they call it? The wrestling community. If they just all decide when this is over with, okay, we're going to send all these people a fucking $1,000 a piece, like the government's supposed to send us. I don't know how they're going to make up this lost income over the next 2 or 3 months, all the smaller promotions. What do you think?
Wouldn't it be ironic if Vince McMahon, the guy who says that there's no such thing as being sick and doesn't want to sneeze and all this stuff, if he contracts this because he's insisting on going through with these shows and he is elderly at this point, susceptible to contracting the virus and to do the most damage to him? Wouldn't that be ironic?
I thought you were going to go the other way with that. I thought you were going to say, wouldn't it be ironic that Vince McMahon, the man who killed the territories 30 years ago, now every other promotion in town and in the country goes broke. WrestleMania weekend, except for Vince runs his show with no people just to rub their nose in it. So he would have lived long enough to kill wrestling twice.
When was the last time Vince McMahon made a good decision?
I haven't been around him for a lot of his decisions. Every morning when he gets up and puts his clothes on, that could be called a positive move.
I mean, you watch these TVs. You've been watching them now for a little while as we review them. They're Vince. I mean, it's his fingerprints on them. He rips up the script hours before they go on the air and decides to redo it. The fact that there's a script is because of Vince McMahon, not a format, but a script.
But it's not even the Vince. It's some of the Vince-isms, like don't look at the camera and don't say belt, and the things there become more of them over the years. So I guess now there is a pretty long list of Vince-isms. But it's not even the Vince that I knew, because he recognized excitement in a guy, passion, the real personality of a guy. Yes, he put gimmicks on the underneath guys because he always thought the undercard and the middle card should be a bunch of gimmick guys. But at the top, the shows that he presided over were still exciting in those days. And now it's, I don't know, but part of it may be that Vince just he's tired. And part of it may be that all of the staff that he's got now and all the writers and all the producers and all the team in between him and a lot of these guys is why he's so far away from it and can't see it. I don't know. And there's so many more TV people than there used to be 20 years ago, when every single one of the guys on the roster, if you went to the office, you were going to the office or creative, you were going to somebody that had been in the wrestling business for 20 years or more. I don't think they can say that now. And you were going to one of only about 7 people or 8 people. Maybe if it was TV or a pay-per-view and all the agents were there, 9 people was the entire creative and talent relations office, except for secretaries back in Stamford. And everybody had been in the wrestling business for 20 fucking years. And I don't think that's the case anymore. And maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. But something's changed. But anyway, like I said, I thought you were going in the direction that Vince could kill all the territories twice in the same lifetime by this financial collapse happening because everybody put their money on WrestleMania being a big draw, and we've got to fucking latch onto this, and we got to be a part of this, and then boom, that's the deciding factor, and all wrestling goes away.
No, but that's a very interesting point. I guess it makes AEW look smarter for their decision not to have anything to do with WrestleMania weekend, to stay far away from it, not to do any shows in the area, and piggyback on the fact that Vince will be bringing all these fans in there, which is what all these conventions and indie shows do. AEW is the one company that said we don't want anything to do with that, and they sure look smart for that right now.
But you can't, when you're number two, you can't. Remember, TNA didn't. It may have done it a year or two when it wasn't really a fucking number two anymore, but TNA did not run around WrestleMania. And one year they were in Orlando as our regularly scheduled taping date or something. But anyway, you can't when you're number two, because then that tells everybody you're number two. Number two needs to stay far away. Number three and on down to number 742 can be a part of it.